Hey, 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 move.
So, Lyric, how have you been doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
And hey, I'm better now. I've been running my feet to death trying to catch up to you.
Yeah.
But you stay busy, apparently.
Yeah, gotta stay busy.
I was like, well, maybe it's this pandemic. Maybe she just, everybody's doing different stuff in this pandemic. Maybe she's been held up.
Well,
So
we're working.
how has it been going? How has the pandemic been? How you been doing in the pandemic?
The pandemic was good for me. I don't know about anybody else, but the pandemic was good for me. I did a lot of self-work. I stayed with my family, my friends, just really built a relationship with myself and my spiritual self. I mean,
Okay.
It was good for me.
Okay. Yeah, that's I don't hear that view from a lot of people. I hear a lot of people, oh man, it hit the business, it hit this, it hit that. But I don't think a lot of people thought about just, hey, get into yourself.
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing I do know. The pandemic allowed for a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people with that entrepreneurial mindset
Yeah.
to say, what's next? What do I do now? The
Yeah.
market has changed, the world has changed. So, that's one of those things. So let me get into it though. A lot of my people that I talked to, I said, hey, I'm going to be interviewing Lyric. And they were like, you mean Behind the Shade, Lyric? I was like,
Oh.
Yes. I said, okay.
Don't hype me up.
They were like, well, I said, listen, I'm not taking requests. The interview will come as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
However, we do go when we start, checking things out, different things, so we, have some content to talk about. And I found that Lyric's a whole lot more than just Beyond the Shade. Now, we're going to talk about Beyond the Shade.
Okay.
So I know because there's plenty of people that want to know Beyond the Shade. That's all I've been hearing.
That's next.
But you've done some other major stuff.
Yeah. I've been really blessed. I really have.
I found out that you did makeup, and I mean professional. So I'm not talking about like my daughter or my friend next door doing a tutorial because they got the $20-$30 camera. You did professional makeup.
Yeah, I did makeup for 10 years, roughly. I started when I was really, really young. I was able to do so many great things in my career. I worked bi-coastally. I worked for MAC for 7.5 years. I was blessed to do New York Fashion Week not once, but twice.
Wow.
No, I was playing.
Wow.
I also did some celebrities, and then I also worked on a couple TV shows in LA. So I've been really blessed in my career with makeup.
Okay. So celebrities. Now, this is always we try not to be the dirt dishing show, but
Try to turn me to Wendy Williams. I'm just playing.
Listen, I ain't gonna be disrespecting Wendy. She come get you.
Yeah, she's always.
But so celebrities, any celebrities that I may know, don't break any confidences, right? Because they coming back up on you on an agreement, ain't nothing I can do for you. But
yeah, I know.
Anybody that we may know that you work with or work
I
on?
did some work with Little Women LA in LA. So I did a couple of people from that show, and then I also did some girls from Bad Girls Club. I've done some Atlanta style rappers.
Okay.
As far as I've done some great models from New York Fashion Week, so just like little low celebrities, but still celebrity,
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, I ain't gonna dig in. Those all shows at one time or another, they've been on my TV screen. I ain't gonna say whether it was me or somebody else in the house watching them.
See what I'm saying?
But I'm gonna say some good episodes as I pass by or something.
Right.
So with you having worked in makeup, right? I can just tell just by the way you carry yourself and how you talk about it.
Yeah.
That's something that you've been passionate with. Is it something that you still deal with? Do you still do anything in makeup?
The thing about makeup is makeup was my first love. I fell in love with makeup because I struggled a lot as a young person, feeling I wanted to be myself. So when I turned to makeup, it was more so like I could put this makeup on and turn people into totally different people. I used to want to do theatrical makeup when I first started, but the thing about makeup is you are empowering women when you do it. So that's something that's really passionate for me. Even though I'm going into a different career, I still do makeup. I just don't promote it. Okay. So it's only when people come to me and they want me to do their makeup, I kind of have the ability to pick and choose on what I want to do, but I'm going to do makeup. I try to steer away from it, but it comes back.
So it basically was a tool for you for empowerment.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I guess that kind of leads down into some of the other stuff that you've done and some of the other some of the other the avenues that you're taking now with
Right.
respect to empowerment.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, so now let's come to the big piece. Of course, everybody wants to know Beyond the Shade.
Yeah.
How did Beyond the Shade come to life? That's going to be one of the biggest questions. But I got my own personal thing I got to throw out there, right?
Uh-huh.
So when I first heard Beyond the Shade, I said, okay, let me go check this out. Let me see what's happening. And then just from the name, I saw Beyond the Shade. I said, okay, I know what this is going to be. It's going to be more adult orientated
Most
stuff.
definitely.
It's going to be up to date
Yeah.
and down tomorrow because it's going to be some community guidelines. Listen now, listen. This is before.
Oh, wow.
You got to give me my.
I'm
You
just
got to give
playing.
me. You got to let me finish now. This is before I actually had a chance to check it out. So
Right.
because with Facebook and social media, you got so much of that where people will do that.
Yeah.
And they just don't know how to do what they're doing, and so they run themselves to the ground real fast. And I got to be honest, that is not. I felt like I don't know if I'm even equipped to do this interview.
Aw.
Because that is not what I saw.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. So I'm not going to go deep into it. I want you to tell people basically how did it come to what it is and what it is not. That
Okay.
for me is a real key thing because I felt like, wow, Tone, you judged a book by the cover.
So
And-
Beyond the Shade, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good.
But Beyond the Shade came about because I've always been in the sex world industry. I started, I was an exotic dancer when I was in my early 20s. And then I worked for a brand called A Touch of Romance when I was in California trying to find my way. And it was actually my favorite job. But it just wasn't paying enough. I used to say to myself, like, if I could make the money doing this, I would do this for the rest of my life. The thing that stuck out to me the most was the job that I had. It was more educational. It was more for women. It was more educational. So it was a requirement that we told every woman what they were buying and why they were buying it. To fast forward, I was mentoring a young woman, and she had told me that she had never had a pap smear, and she was like 21. And I said, you never had a pap smear? It really threw me for a loop because I was like, how do you not know to take care of your body? And we started talking more, and she was talking about how she didn't use condoms and how she didn't know about her pH and how she didn't, and it just blew my mind that a 21-year-old girl just didn't know anything about her body, and she was going through so many things. And I wondered to myself, how many other people are going through this? How many of our young black women, or how many of our young women, period, don't know simple things about their body that could really harm themselves in a health realm?
Right.
So I decided to go to school to be a sex and relationship coach. I think a lot of times when we're in long-term relationships, we kind of lose the spark. So it was very important to me to not only educate women, educate couples, or rekindle couples, to start doing something along those lines. So now the Beyond the Shade part came from when people think about sexual exploration, they think about 50 Shades of Grey, right?
Right.
But it's so much more than that. It's beyond that. It's beyond the shade. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I came up with the name, because I wanted people to not only talk about sexual exploration and adult play, but what's beyond that? What is your relationships like? What are your health relationships like? If people don't know that the FDA don't have nothing to do with sex toys. So a lot of the sex toys and novelties that they sell are not body safe. And people don't know that because people don't care. They don't care about what we're putting in our body. So Beyond the Shade as a whole was for the educational piece, but it has to be fun. What it's not is it's not just a pornographic nothing. That's not what it is.
And see, and that's the thing that I got to be honest. As I looked at some of your live streams, and I was like, wait, this is way more than what I thought it would be. Because just like you just talked about having conversations with individuals who didn't know about wellness items that they need to be following up with.
Right.
Your live streams have that kind of content in it. I saw resources for individuals in the community in there. And I was like, this is not, it's proven by itself, but this is not going to be shut down in 2 days. Fact is, this is going to be a thing that continues to grow and grow. So how impactful do you feel like it has been? Your efforts with Beyond the Shade. How do you feel like you've impacted the community? Because everything comes back down to community, right? If you're not giving something, I've always been taught, if you're not giving something back to your community,
right,
you're just taking, in which case you're leeching.
Yeah,
So,
it's just, especially with the Facebook page, Beyond the Shade, like I have a lot of members in there that are not really active, but they're active with me on a one-on-one basis. To me, it's bringing awareness to something that needs to be talked about. Sex needs to be talked about. 1 in every 4 person is not having mind-blowing sex, but they don't want to talk about it.
right.
You know, so
Right.
I think bringing that to the forefront and being able to be like, it's okay to have great sex. It's okay to take care of your body as long as it's in a healthy and safe way. It's okay to have lasting relationships and not toxic relationships. All that goes hand in hand. So to me, the impact that Beyond the Shade has had on Facebook, just from the people that are in there, I can see the difference in how they communicate with each other. If nobody's been in Beyond the Shade, you can tell everybody's respectful. Nobody steps on nobody's toes. Everybody's okay with listening to and starting the conversation. So, I mean, that in itself, even if I touch one person that knows now that, okay, that's not body safe, let me not use that.
Right. Well,
It means something.
I'll tell you, I watched one of your streams, and I forget who the individual was that was on. It was a sex worker, and
Felix.
there we go. That's who it was.
Felix.
And,
Shout out
and,
to Felix.
and I was blown away because the stream didn't just cover that, the sex part. The stream went into a whole separate conversation of resources for individuals who were during COVID. And, you know, and I was just like, you know, this is, you know, it's not far-fetched, but this was something different. This was, hey, we're covering everything, not just what I do, but we're covering stuff that can affect individuals. And I was thoroughly impressed by that. So I will ask you though, you do a lot of work with the LGBT community. Mm-hmm. Did that play any part in your desire to bring awareness about community resources? You know, what role did that play in the development?
Well, I think as an LGBTQ family member, I think that we don't have a lot of resources in the community. It's kind of like we kind of pushed to the back and pushed out. So I think that yes, it played a role, like especially in just being able to be free and be yourself. I know a lot of people don't like Planned Parenthood, but to me that's a heck of a resource, because when I was younger and I didn't have insurance, I could go to Planned Parenthood and they was going to service me regardless, for a small fee, or sometimes I think it was even free back in the day. So there's a lot of different things, or like Change Today, Change Tomorrow, or people that are doing the HIV testing for the LGBT community and beyond. It's just, we didn't have a lot of that. So I definitely want to bring that to the forefront for our community and our family, because we don't really have a lot of that support. And being LGBTQ and Black, it's rough.
Okay.
It's important.
Well, so
Important.
I know you got a passion for it, right? It's very clear. And I know you've got a passion for education and sexual wellness as a whole, right? Just based on just some of the stuff you just talked about. That being the case, so since we're talking about as a whole, we also have to talk about the whole family structure. So is there anything coming for, let's say, for our teens? Because I think a lot of times we don't think about our teens. I remember being a teen, and I know it's much faster now. It's much different. These kids are getting information.
They doing it.
Yeah. We were just getting information as kids. These kids are getting actionable items now. So is there anything that you do community-wise with respect to kids, or do you have plans on introducing some education or anything with respect to the teens and things like that?
Yes, especially, well, my main focus right now is our young women. So eventually I do want to do free educational classes for the young people, because when I grew up, we had sex education?
Yeah.
Or whatever, and I don't think they even have that in school anymore. It's just like a little bitty chapter, but it's more important. It's more important than that. So definitely coming up in the works, I do want to work with young women for sure.
Okay, well definitely reach out. I'm real big on trying to give back with the kids.
Yeah.
And I'll
most
ask
important.
everybody. Yeah, I ask everybody in every interview, what you doing for the kids? I don't care what your
Yeah.
topic is, I'm gonna ask you, what you doing for the kids?
Yeah.
Right? That's our next generation. So now I also heard some rumors, and you can quantify these for me. They're not negative rumors. I know usually when you hear the word rumors, we're expecting scandal. Unfortunately, we're not. This still goes along
Right.
the lines. You have an adult, is it an adult product line or an adult product, something retail or something like that launching soon?
I do. So I am about to be a sexual wholesale retailer. Well, not wholesale, retailer. And it goes hand in hand in what I want to do with sex and relationship coaching. So if you come to me and you're a couple and you need to spice up your life, why would I not have things that can help
Right.
you do that?
Right.
I am a firm believer, as we talked about, in sexual wellness and sexual health and all those good things. But at the end of the day, sex needs to be fun too. So,
Right.
to me, I think that that's an even more important part too, is just being able to talk to somebody and explore sexuality in all different ways and be fluid. It's just more. So yeah, I am launching in April.
So how would you get over, because I hear this a lot, right? I hear women who say, yes, this is this type of line or this type of product things are great, and then on the opposite side, I hear men who, well, the macho, well, no, this and that, no, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
and I have a negative connotation about the sex toys or adult toys or different things like that. How do you broach that? Because at some point you're dealing with, and it's not even men and women, it's couples, right? So even if you're looking at women who are couples or men who are couples,
Yeah.
you're still looking at, there may be a situation where you got somebody who's, no, I would just not that, if that's that, if you have to have that, then that means that I'm inadequate or something like that. I hear a lot of people with that. So
Yeah.
how do you, and I don't mean to put you on the spot and get
It's fine.
some free education from you, but I do, right?
Yeah.
I do. How do you broach that? How do you recommend that couples broach that with their partners?
Well, it's definitely a conversation piece that you need to have, and you need to understand that some people do have boundaries.
Okay.
Some people do, and that's when you can hire me to come in as your sex and relationship coach, and we can talk about it.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. But for real, but you have to be able to be open with your partner. You have to be able to be. It's a judgment piece,
Okay.
right? So if you have something that you want to try, and you come to your partner and you talk to your partner about it, and instantly you hit with a door. They're never going to open up to you about anything. So it's really just about not being judgmental, even if it's something that is a boundary for you. Then
Okay.
you just can't be judgmental with your partner.
So
and
you
y'all
gotta
have to
identify
talk
that.
about it. And one thing that I will say, sometimes you are just not equally yoked with somebody sexually. And that's okay.
Wow.
If that's something that you require, and that's something that's going to pleasure you in the way that you want to be pleasured, it is perfectly okay to stop dealing with that person. It's your choice. If that's something that you can't bend on, or that's something that person can't bend on, work through it. If y'all can't work through it, then it's okay to walk away. It's okay.
That's
It's okay.
That's profound, right? Because
Yeah.
nobody ever says that, hey, you may be with somebody for a different reason, and it may not be this reason, and you may be with somebody for this type of reason. It may mean that much to you. An analogy a friend of mine said was, listen, the bathroom is one room in a house. It doesn't mean that if your bathroom is broken, you don't still have a house.
Right.
But for some individuals, the bathroom's broken, they may not feel like they've got a house.
That's
So-
when you talk about just deal breakers.
Yep.
Your deal breaker might be different from my deal breaker. My deal breaker could be, I want to have mind-blowing sex. And your deal breaker could be, I don't want you to take out the trash on Tuesdays.
Right.
It's okay. Deal breakers are okay. But I also will say that in relationships, you do have to compromise a little. You have to compromise.
Yeah.
You have to try it out a
That's
little
true.
bit. Unless it is a completely not your boundary, then okay, I get it. Okay.
All right, so listen, I ask everybody these 3 questions, okay? These are my big 3 questions. Nobody gets out the room without them. We lock the doors until we get the answer. Well, no, we don't do that, but.
No, I'm just
So, if you could go back in time, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I always say those because I have various age ranges in my interviews.
Well, I'm 3. So.
Okay. I wasn't
No, I'm
asking.
just kidding.
So if you could go back in time and talk with Young Lyric to give Young Lyric some advice to get Young Lyric either to this point or any other point that you would want Young Lyric to start working toward, what 3 pieces of advice would you give?
Number 1, be yourself authentically. Don't try to be nobody else. Just be you. Whoever it is that you feel like you are at this moment, just be you. My second piece of advice is listen to your elders. They are smart. Listen to them and just really realize that what they're telling you is probably true. And then my third piece of advice would be do it now. Don't wait. Right now. Do it right now. Even if you're not ready, do it now.
I like that. I like that. The whole concept of we go through life so much and then we look back on, hey, we didn't, we should have, or we go through life and waiting a long time. Then we do something and realize I could have done this before.
Yeah.
And I'd be so far ahead.
Yeah. One thing that I had to learn really early, I've lived in so many different places. I've done so many different things because I always tried to just do it. Even if it didn't make sense. I moved to Atlanta when I was 21 years old. I had $200 in my pocket living in a hotel. But I didn't, you know? So that's the best piece of advice, I think. Just do it now. Don't wait.
All right. I like that. That's, you know, those 3 questions, maybe one day I'll take those 3 questions from every interview and write a book.
I need my royalties on that.
Yeah, I have to get those royalty checks out to you. Well, Rough and Royalty Records. So how do people go about contacting you, or how do people go about finding out more if they want to look into Beyond the Shade? How do they go about contacting you?
Okay, well, on Facebook, it's Beyond the Shade on all platforms. So on Facebook, it's Beyond the Shade. It's a Facebook group that you can add yourself to. I do look into everybody, so let's hope. And then you can go on Instagram. It's Beyond_the Shade. And then you can contact me either platform. Twitter, Beyond the Shade.
Okay.
Everything's Beyond the Shade.
Everything's Beyond
Look
the
it
Shade.
You
Well,
won't
listen,
disappoint.
I thank you for stopping by. I know your schedule's busy. I know when you cut out of here, you've got to go and get set up for another production. And, you know, that just goes to show, you know.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you making time in your schedule. Please keep us posted on what's happening. As your product line comes out, you know, and as you roll things out, we'll definitely be looking to maybe sit down again another time to find out what's been happening, what's been going on. All right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks so
fun.
much.
Hey, 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 move.